Welcome, everyone. We're glad to have you here joining us today we have Robert and we have Jenny from Zoomagination. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them. They're going to talk about what they do and they're going to show us some animals today. So we are really happy to have them with us.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Robert. This is Jenny. And we are part of a team of people. It's an organization. It's called Zoomagination. We are a nonprofit outreach here in the San Antonio, Texas. What we do mostly is travel. We travel with a variety of different animals. We visit a lot of classrooms. We do a lot of special events. We do a lot of educational programs. But doing something virtual like this is something very new to us. Well, we've done it all last year, of course, because of the pandemic, so we've gotten better at it. But it's something that's kind of added to what we do, and this is fun. It's nice to be able to come directly into your living room or wherever you are by way of internet, by way of this ability to do this. So this is kind of fun. Anyways, we work with about 35 different animals. We have reptiles, we have birds, we have mammals, we have arachnids and creepy crawlies like hissing cockroaches. And most of our animals were donated to us by other people who had them as pets. Some of them are surrendered pets. Others were animals that were injured out in the wild, and they are native species and they could not be released for one reason or the other. And we work with a lot of those animals as well. But today we brought some exotics that we want to share with you. We have one that is a native species, and we'll bring that one out here in a little bit. But we can go ahead and start with the one you see right in front of me. I don't know if y'all can see that. There we go. I switched the camera a little bit. This is everybody's favorite reptile, right? Or maybe not everybody's favorite reptile. But this here is a ball python. His name is Bikram, and Bikram is native to Africa. He is 12 years old, he is 4.5 feet long, and he is known as a constrictor. So he will squeeze his prey. Now, having said that, a lot of people always ask me, does that mean he doesn't have any teeth? If he's not venomous, does he not have teeth? Well, that's not true. Constrictors also have teeth. They have very sharp teeth. They're a bunch of little ones. They're shaped like fish hooks, and they're back curving. And so the reason why they're back curving is because his mouth is designed like a trap, almost like a Venus flytrap, or any kind of a trap where if an animal enters it, it'll trap them. And so in this case, that's how he traps his food. And he loves to eat rats. That's his favorite food. So once he catches the rat, he then wraps his body around and squeezes. And when he's squeezing, he is constricting the airflow to the lungs or the blood supply to the heart. And that's what they do. Now, snakes are a little intimidating. Some people are afraid of snakes. Some people are nervous around snakes. And that snakes can be dangerous. They can. All snakes have teeth. But the thing is that snakes are also misunderstood, because without snakes, we would have a huge rodent problem. So they are very beneficial to us as well, because they do help control the rodent population. Now I'm going to change the camera a little bit. I'm going to kind of raise him up a little bit so you can see a little more about what he looks like when he's kind of open. You can kind of see there's a better view of what he looks like. So he doesn't look the way he did earlier. And the reason why is because he was all balled up. Now that's where they get the name ball python. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap him kind of around my wrist here. And this is what they do. They wrap up into a little ball, and that's where they get the name ball python. They just like to do that. They do that for different reasons. They do that to rest on a tree branch, or to when they're on the jungle floor in Africa. They can sleep that way and stay small. But they can also do that to blend in, because if you can see by their markings, you can see how easily he can blend into the ground, maybe the pile of dead leaves or branches, and that's what helps them to blend in there. Now, the other thing about snakes, a lot of people don't know this, but they don't have external ears. They do have internal ears, but they are not developed. Let me get a little closer to the camera there so you can kind of see him a little close up there. They don't have eyelids, and every time he sticks out his tongue, That's how he smells. He is smelling with his tongue. And that's what he does. Every time he sticks that tongue out, he's just catching air particles, and that's how he finds his food. Now, it may be hard to see, but I'm going to try if I can get him to face the camera. If you can see in front of his mouth, he's got these little holes around in front of his mouth. Those are called heat pits. And that's how they sense heat from rodents and other animals. So once they sense that body heat from a rodent, then they can start looking for that rodent, and that's how they get their food. Pretty interesting animal. Snakes are a really neat reptile. Of course, they don't have legs, which is another thing that makes people kind of a little nervous about them because they kind of look creepy when they walk or when they slither. But that's just their nature. That's just what they're designed to do. The other thing about snakes is that they are, of course, all reptiles are cold-blooded, and so that means that the environment is, they rely on the environment to regulate their body temperature. So if it's 75 degrees in your house, if you have a snake in your house, his body will then turn to 75 degrees. If you have it 80 degrees, then his body will be 80 degrees. And that's another cool thing about these guys. They do rely on the sun to keep them warm and the shade to keep them cool. All right, well, I could talk about snakes all day, but does anybody have any questions? I know, do we have any questions that have been brought up about any of these guys? About this snake?
We don't have any questions just yet in the Q&A, but if they want to type them in there, we will certainly ask them.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, then let's move on. I'll bring them. I got a couple animals to share with you today, so I'm gonna put him away. So our next animal is really, really cool. This one's a little bit different. If you listen carefully, he is going to make a sound as I bring him out. Let me raise his camera up a little bit there. This is a really interesting animal. If you listen, you can start. He's making a little bit of a noise there. There he is. Wow, look at that, everybody. This is my buddy. His name is Twister. And Twister is a little talkative right now, but Twister is known as a peregrine falcon. The peregrine falcon is considered to be the fastest living animal on the planet. Faster than a cheetah. Very quick. Now, peregrine falcons are found all over the world. There's different species of peregrine falcons. This particular species is found in the north and eastern part of Africa. And he is known as an ex-Barbary peregrine falcon. But they look very similar to the peregrine falcons you might find in North America. They have the same kind of markings, they have the same coloration, but they're just a little smaller than the ones you find in North America. Twister is, I believe he's 8 years old, and he is a trained bird of prey. Being a bird of prey, it means that he preys on other animals. So you've got your hawks, and you have eagles, and you have falcons, and you've got owls and vultures. There's different types of birds of prey, but they all prey on other animals, so they're carnivores. When it comes to peregrine falcons prefer to prey on other birds. I know it's kind of weird to hear that, but the reason why is because they are fast. They would rather catch their prey in midair than pounce on it on the ground. For instance, if you ever drive down the road and you see a red-tailed hawk perched on the top of a telephone pole, the reason why they're out on the telephone pole and out in the open is because they're looking for rodents, they're looking for snakes, they're looking for animals on the desert floor or anywhere, and they will swoop down and just land on that animal. Well, peregrine falcons they're more than capable of doing that, but they are a light bird. They're lighter, they're smaller, they're swifter. So when it comes to pouncing on a particular animal, it's easier for them to catch it in midair because they're so fast. His favorite food are pigeons. He loves to eat pigeons and doves. That's what he likes to hunt. Now, he is trained. He is a trained bird of prey, which means that he is completely flighted. We don't clip his wings. He can fly and come back. So we will let him fly around. He catches a bird and he comes back. But right now, sitting at the desk here, I've got him on a glove. You can see that's why I'm wearing this glove here. This is a very important tool because without this glove, it would hurt my hand. And the reason why is because he has very sharp claws, very sharp talons. I can kind of show you his talons a little bit there. So they're very sharp. They have to be sharp so he can catch his prey. So once he catches his prey, then he grabs him with his talons and then he flies down to the ground. But let me explain how these guys hunt. This is really cool. They have incredible vision. All birds have incredible vision. Birds of prey, their vision is a little bit different than that of like a parrot. Parrots' eyes are kind of fixed on the side of their head, so they can see things from both sides because they're always looking for potential predators. So that's kind of how they're designed. They're designed to be kind of a panoramic view. When it comes to birds of prey, like Twister, their eyes are closed closer together. It's almost like binoculars. And so the reason why that's important is because once they fix their eyes on a potential prey, then they kind of lock their eyes and then that's what they're going for. And so he can see a penny 1.5 miles away, to give you an idea how well his eyesight is. So when he's hunting, he can, while he's up in the air, he can see a bird 1 mile away. He can see another bird 1.5 miles away. So he's always looking for birds when he's up in the sky. Now, when they typically hunt, they go up to about 1,000 feet. When they go up that high, they're just soaring out there in the sky. And then once he finds a bird that he wants to go after, he then closes his wings and he begins to dive. As he's diving, he then starts to increase in speed. By the time he gets to that bird, he is doing well over 240 miles per hour. And that's why they catch that bird at that speed. So it's a fast animal, very quick animal. It's amazing to think that such a small little animal like this, you can see he's not a very big bird, can reach speeds that fast, just because he's very aerodynamic. If you notice their heads, he's got a small head. He's almost like a parakeet head. It's almost like kind of like a little parakeet head. And that beak, very sharp beak. You can see, hi buddy, I know, I don't have any food on me. He's got a very sharp beak, and the reason why that beak is so sharp is because he doesn't have teeth. As you know, birds don't have teeth; they have beaks. So he has to cut the little pieces of meat into small pieces, and he swallows them whole. And so that's what they do. The other thing too is his colorations. If you look at the front of his feathers up here, you see they're light in color, but then the back of his feathers are dark in color. So that is called counter shading. The counter shading is his form of camouflage. And so if you're looking up into the sky and the sun is hiding, it's behind him, that sun is then going to keep him hidden from you or from any other animals. And then if he's flying closer to the ground, he's harder to see flying closer to the ground. An amazing bird. All birds, all animals are amazing, but when it comes to birds of prey are just an interesting animal because of how they're designed. You know, they're carnivorous. They don't eat vegetables. They don't like fruit. they just like to eat meat. Does anybody have any questions?
We do have a question about the bird, and then we'll go back to the snake real quick. So that one question is, how far can he fly, or can they fly?
Well, they are a migratory bird of prey. They migrate, but when they do find a nesting area where they, of course, build the nest and then have their offspring, then they find an area there. But once they establish the nest in an area they want to raise their young, then they stay in that particular area. So they hunt within that territory, but they can fly for miles. They can fly for miles, but most of the flights that they do are close by, but they're high. So they'll go to an area where there's a lot of bird activity, and they'll fly into a tree, and the birds will fly out of a tree, and then he'll go after them. But they can also migrate. So they migrate, being from North and East Africa, they kind of migrate within that area, from the northern part of Africa to the eastern part of Africa. Kind of like the birds of prey that you see in North America, the great horned owls and all other owls. The red-tailed hawks. The red-tailed hawk is probably the most common bird of prey that you see in North America, but they migrate all throughout North America based on the season. So it's a spring season or summer season. But they can fly long distances for a long, long time.
And another question is, how long will Twister live? What's their lifespan?
They can live anywhere from about 26 to 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he's 8 years old, so he still has a little ways to go. And he can actually see you guys. He's watching the screen.
One more question about him is, and you may have answered this, how far can the Falcons fly at the higher speeds? So you talked about how fast he was flying, but if he's going fast like that, how far can he go?
Well, it's really not the distance. It's more about the purpose of that flight is to get to his prey quickly. If you think of a cheetah, for example, a cheetah can run at 60, 65 miles per hour, but not for very long because they lose that energy. But, you know, when they're typically out, they just walk around. But that's the same thing with the peregrine falcon. So he can flap his wings and fly across the sky at maybe 140, 180 miles per hour when he's not hunting. So he can go a little further. But when he's diving, it's really about when he sees that bird, he dives, and that's his purpose, is to try to catch that bird quickly and to shorten the distance between him and that bird as quickly as possible. I guess you could say the cheetah of the sky.
True.
Right? He's kind of like the cheetah of the sky there.
Would the snake eat the bird that you have? It's an interesting one.
That's a good question. That's a good question. You know, what's funny is that they're found in the same area, but with a snake like that, it's very unlikely that the snake would prey after Twister. But what they can do is they can prey on the nest. So if they have eggs, then the snake could make its way to the nest and eat the eggs in that case.
And how many eggs do they have? Do they lay?
Anywhere from 2 to 3 eggs. And here's the interesting thing is that they live on, most of the time you'll see peregrine falcons on cliff dwellings. And the reason why is because they don't build a nest. They lay the eggs right on the ground. And so being so high, they don't need to build a nest. They just have it up high and the eggs are protected by the height. Interesting, I know. It's like, so they don't really have nesting materials. They just find a spot and lay their eggs.
Wow. We did get a couple of questions about the snake. If I can go back to him real quick.
Sure.
Okay. Do you know, Wyatt would like to know, what is the biggest snake in the world?
Well, it depends on how you want to measure it. The biggest girth, that would be the anaconda. The anaconda is the biggest when it comes to their girth, the diameter. They can be as big around as a tree trunk, you know, as a telephone pole. They're pretty big. The longest snake is the reticulated python. That's can grow it up to about 30 feet, and they can get pretty big too. So it's hard, you know, it depends on how you look, how you want to measure them. But anaconda is definitely probably the heaviest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. You'll find those in your backyard.
I hope not. And then also, why do snakes look so long?
Why do snakes look so long? Well, that is their design. They're long because since they have to slither on the ground, it's easier to having that surface area on their bellies. So if you have a short animal without legs, it's not going to move very quickly. But if you have a long animal without legs, they can slither their body and move across the ground a lot quicker. So I think the length also plays a big role in how fast they move. So, yeah.
Well, thank you. So that was all we had about the snakes. So if you want to
You ready for
us what you brought next.
All right, our next one. Here we go. Look at this. This is my friend Bayou, and Bayou is an American alligator. And here he is. I can kind of show you what it looks like from a distance there. And he's not a very big alligator. He just looks big on screen. He is about 2 feet long from head to tail. You can see his tail there. He's about 2 feet long. He is a year and a half old. They are from the southeastern part of the United States. That's where they're from, the American alligator. Again, just like the snake, they are a reptile. So he's also cold-blooded. The thing about alligators, they spend most of their life in the water. 90% of their life is spent in the water because that's where they hunt. They hunt fish. They can also eat on any animals that come in the water, but they're also known as an ambush predator. So they'll be in the water. So when an animal comes over to the water's edge to drink, that might be an opportunity for him to lunge out of the water and grab its prey. Much like what you see in the National Geographic or the Discovery channels when you show the Nile crocodile coming out of the water at the wildebeest or any of the animals. That's what they do. Now this little one, he is going to grow to be 12 feet long and weigh over 800 pounds. I'm not going to be holding him at that point. He's going to be a little too big for that. I think he'll be too big for Jenny's desk. The thing about the alligators too is that they are known as a living dinosaur. The reason why is because they have been around since the time of the dinosaurs. Oh, are you still there? Can you still see me? Can you still see me? I think hold on 1 second. We may have lost the, hold on. Can you guys hear me okay? Did we lose feed?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, good. I just want to make sure. I lost there. I see you guys now. Okay, for a minute there, I thought I lost you. Anyways, they've been around since the time of the dinosaurs. So when the dinosaurs roamed the earth, alligators and crocodiles were there as well. They lived with the dinosaurs and then they survived and they haven't changed one bit since the time of the dinosaurs. So they looked exactly like they did back then. That is why they're considered to be a living dinosaur. They kind of look like a dinosaur too. Based on their scales, you can see on the back of his neck, he's got those big scoots on the back of his neck there. And so he's a really neat little animal. We've been working with him for a long time. Well, I'd say for about a year now, but he's only going to get bigger. And so alligators are also very important to the environment in Florida because they're found in Florida in the Everglades. They help animals in the Everglades because where they live, it's very muddy. There's a lot of wetlands and marshes and stuff like that. And so when they build nests or when they dig into the ground, they actually create areas for water to stay in so that fish can be in the water and birds can eat the fish and animals can drink water. And that would not be possible if it weren't for the alligator. So alligators are a very important part of our ecosystem. Does anybody have any questions?
How long will he live? How long does the gator live?
They can live about 50 years, but that's average. So they can live a little longer than that. There was one that lived to be 70 years old.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they can live a long time.
So where will Bayou live when he does get big?
He will probably stay at our facility. We have a ranch where we're gonna build him a big pond, and he'll stay out there. We also have his brother too, so they'll have each other living in a pond there, and so they'll stay there as they get bigger. So, like I said, we won't be able to carry him around for very long.
No. How many teeth do they have?
They have 74 to 80 teeth in their mouth, and they can lose a tooth and a new one will grow. So they're always going to have teeth because that they have to. Without teeth, there's no way an alligator can survive. And so their teeth are continuously growing. And people ask me all the time, what is the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? Well, you can look at the shape of a crocodile's mouth. It's shaped like a V. An alligator is more of a U-shaped snout. So that's one real obvious way of telling them apart. Okay. We have one more. Oh, we've got a couple more animals we want to share with you guys. I don't want to run out of time here, but This is one of my little one, another little favorite. Look at this, everybody. This is Milo. This is Milo, and he is a lesser crested cockatoo. He was a pet, and so he was donated to our program, and so he's kind of new to this. So he's kind of starting to make his way, and they are from Indonesia, and he is about 5 years old. I'm gonna give him a little grape. See, he may not. I don't think he wants the grape right now. But these guys are really neat birds. Right now he's a little shy. This is one of his. He's only done a couple of virtual programs, so he sees you guys too on the screen. So he's probably just getting a little nervous there. But I don't want to run out of time. You all ready to see another animal? You ready for that? Another one? We got a big one to share with you. You ready for this one? All right.
I think so.
I'm gonna put Milo on my shoulder for a second here. There we go. Okay, I'm going to switch camera angles. Let's see if it works. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Jenny gave me instructions on how to change the camera. Okay, Jenny, we got to change camera. How do we change it? Right there?
You're switching to
Osa.
You are? Okay.
We got our Jenny, the tech support. Here, there we go. There's Osa. We're gonna switch. So, by your reaction, that's a happy smile, right? This is something you're excited about. Here we go. I think we centered it a little bit more. I don't know. It's kind of hard to see. All right, everybody. This is Osa, and Osa is she is a two-toed sloth. She is 5 years old. I'm sorry, she's 5 years old. And they are from Central and South America. They are one of the slowest moving mammals on the planet. She's a mammal, so she is one of the slowest mammals in the world. The three-toed sloth is the slowest moving mammal on the planet, but she's a two-toed sloth. We're going to try to get her to come towards the camera so you guys can see her a little bit better. Osa was brought to us by a zoo up in Minnesota when she was about 2 years old. So she's been with us for a few years now. And you can see she's kind of hanging upside down. She's got her claws around the branch there. And that's what they do. That's how they hang from the trees in South America. And they spend their whole life upside down. They can't walk on the ground. So if we were to put her on the ground, she would just crawl on her belly. Now, she can do that. She can crawl from one place to the other. It's very slow. But being upside down in a tree, it's a lot safer for her. And she can lash out with her claws. She can bite with her teeth. And so that's how they get around with that. So right now Jenny's feeding her sweet potato, zucchini, and squash. They love vegetables and fruit, but in the natural environment they eat mostly leaves, and the leaves are also why they are so slow. Imagine if we ate leaves and nothing else, we would be as slow as a sloth. So having not a lot of energy. There she goes. She's kind of moving a little bit. You don't want to blink your eyes. If you blink, you might miss it. Which I'm kidding, of course, because they're very slow. But sloths are very slow. They move slow. They spend their whole day sleeping. Who doesn't want to live like a sloth, right? Sloths will spend their whole life 18 hours a day sleeping. And then when they wake up for a little bit at a time and look for food, and they smell for food. Sloths can't see very well. Sloths they spend a lot of time smelling with using their nose because they don't see well. And once they find a leaf, once they smell a leaf that they want to eat, then they will they'll grab the leaf with their lips and they rip it off and then they eat it. Their biggest predators are the jaguar and the harpy eagle. The harpy eagle is one of the largest eagles in the world, and it is big enough to pick up a sloth and fly away with it. So the harpy eagle is a very dangerous predator. So how does a sloth protect itself? Well, sloths can bite. They have teeth. They can use their claws. But the best defense for a sloth is their camouflage. If you look at her hair, it looks a lot like the bark of a tree. But then over time, her hair turns green. And the reason why it turns green is because moss and algae grows on her hair and it helps her blend in. Now she's really getting you a close up. Look at that. Nothing like a close up of a sloth nose, right? Isn't that cute? They got a little pig nose. So you notice her nose is wet. Having a wet nose is good. It's healthy. You know, it's like you're having your dog. It's like a dog's nose. You know, when it's wet, that's a good sign. So having a wet nose is a good thing. We're gonna switch the camera so that way you get a better view. There we go. Look at those teeth. Look at those sharp teeth. So look at, she's upside down. She's probably wondering why the world is upside down. So that moss and algae, as I said before, it grows on their hair. It helps them blend in. And the other thing too is that if you put your nose up to Osa to try to smell her, they don't smell like anything. They don't have an odor. They don't have those odor glands that other animals do. However, they do have scent glands. So they have a scent gland behind their ear so they can mark the trees, but you can't really smell them. They're like a sponge. So if we were to put her in a pine tree, she would smell like a pine tree. And that's kind of what helps them blend in there. Look how easy it is for her to hang upside down. Don't you wish you could hang upside down like that for a long time? So she's going to reach out towards the camera. There she is, trying to reach out towards the camera. She is quite a character, I will say that. Do we have any questions about Osa? That's anything? Yeah.
We do have a few. How long do sloths live?
They live about 20 years. Now, in the natural, that's average. In the natural environment, they can live about 18 years, maybe, if that, 15, 18 years. But under our care, there's a good chance that she'll live a little bit longer than that. Simply because, you know, she doesn't have to worry about predators. She doesn't have to worry about food. And if she gets sick for any reason, we do have veterinarians that care for all of our animals. So that goes for all of our animals that we take care of, which is a good thing. So chances are they're going to live longer under our care.
How many teeth does she have?
They have 18 teeth. They don't have front teeth. They're born without front teeth, but they do have very sharp incisors, which are like their canines, and they have molars as well. So they have molars, and those molars help chew their leaves, and it helps, you know, kind of turn their leaf into like a mash. Yeah. So.
Is her fur soft or is it coarse?
It really depends on the humidity. So,
she's having a bad hair day.
Exactly. It really depends on the humidity. There are times where it is kind of rough and coarse, kind of like if you're petting a horse's tail or their mane, or like if you're touching a German Shepherd or a Husky. It really just depends. And then there's days where it's really soft, you know, and so it really depends on the humidity. Right now, she's got a little itch. You see how easy she got a little itch? She just scratches it.
How big do they get? Is she fully grown?
She is fully grown. This is average for a female. They can, and their weight changes every single day. I forgot to mention this, is that sloths only go to the bathroom once a week. And so right before they go to the bathroom, that's when they're the heaviest. So let's just say Osa were to weigh about 30 pounds right before she goes to the bathroom. The very next morning after she goes to the bathroom, she could weigh 25 pounds. So they can lose a lot of weight. They can lose a lot of weight just by going to the bathroom. And when they go to the bathroom, they climb down to the bottom of the tree, they hug the tree trunk, and they go to the bathroom. And they do this at night because it's safer at night. Yeah, really neat. And I forgot to, I don't know if I mentioned this, but they can swim. They're very good swimmers. In fact, they swim faster than they climb through the trees. So that's kind of that's also something that people don't realize. And you can see by her hair how it kind of hangs down from her stomach. The reason why it hangs when they're hanging is because when the water hits them when it's raining, the water hits their stomach and it kind of drips off of their back. So they don't really absorb all that water.
Does she like to be held?
Not yet. We are working towards that. She gets a little nervous about that, and only because we're not a tree, and so if we were to try to hold her, she would have to kind of get used to moving around. Like we pick her up and we kind of move a little bit, and so that's that would take some time, but we're working towards that. So maybe in the near future we'll be able to do that.
How old is she?
She's 5. So she still has some time to go. So she has some time to go there. Is it any other questions?
I think they really like the sloth. They have a lot of.
Everybody loves the sloth, right?
Yes.
I didn't get a chance. Go ahead.
Is she playful? I know you said she sleeps most of the day.
Well, the thing is that they sleep most of the day. They're not social animals, and what I mean by that, they don't like to hang out with any other animals. They just they'd like to be by themselves. So they're solitary animals, and so being alone, hanging in a tree is fine with them. As far as being social with us, we actually, we work with her every day. We pick her up, and we don't pick her up. We feed her. We take care of her every day. So she gets used to us. She gets used to our voice. She gets used to our smell, how we, our scent and stuff like that. And so that's how she recognizes us. But when it comes to sitting on a couch and being a lap couch or a couch sloth, no, that's not gonna. Yeah, she doesn't like that very much.
If she was out in the wild, how far would she, would she travel during the day? Would she just pretty much stay in her little tree?
She would stay in her tree.
Okay.
In her tree, and then at night is when they move. So at night she may go to a couple of other trees in the area, or they could go a little further. They do actually move in good distance over the course of the night. And then once they're worn out, once they're tired, they just sleep where they are. They find a little branch and they sleep. So they don't have the same tree that they go to. It's not like a nest or anything.
Yeah, she looks like she's getting tired already. And then we did have a question. Does she only sleep hanging upside down? Or will
no,
she?
like right now, she's actually sitting on a branch. Her back is kind of sitting on the branch and she's holding the branch above her. And so she can sleep that way. But if there wasn't a branch underneath her, she could easily hang from the branch on with her 4 legs. And she can lock her claws on the tree so she doesn't have to use any energy. Yeah. So.
What about, how do they mate?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. Well, slowly, very slowly. So when they find a potential mate, they will actually smell each other, and they sometimes they spend some time together, and then when they mate, it's very slow. They do it at night, and then once that's it, then that's that. And sometimes females have to compete for males.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think everything else you have covered. So as far as the sloth is concerned, you've covered, there's some other questions, but I think you covered them when you were
Okay.
talking about her. So
Well, good. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the program, the animals today.
we did. It was very interesting.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
We always appreciate having y'all come out and join us. So it's always a good time and very interesting for the kids too. So we appreciate that.
Well, it is our pleasure. We'll do it again next time. So just let us know, and we're more than happy. We'll try to change up some of the animals too a little bit.
Okay. Well, we're always good with the sloth.
We'll
It's always a favorite.
Okay, then we'll keep doing that. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now at the end, we want to thank y'all for joining us today and with Zoomagination and tuning in and looking at all the great animals that they brought. If you'll see on your screen now, you do have your secret code that you can enter into Beanstack for our weekly drawing. It is Zoomagination. So just go into Beanstack and enter that in, and you will be entered in for the drawing. And good luck. We hope that you enjoyed today's presentation of the animals, and we will see you later. Thank you.